Greetings, this is Carapace the Changeling, coming at you with another MLP theory. After my last video, I decided I wanted to go into more intricate detail on changeling abilities. So today I wanted to talk about the transformation abilities of changelings. I know this may seem like a one-note topic, as changing transformations have been straightforward. However, I have yet to see a video actually try to tackle the topic, and a question has been nagging me in particular. In the MLP movie, we're given the impression that the ability to take other forms is quite a big deal. Twilight Sparkle herself tried to steal the Hippogriff's pearl to allow the ponies to take on stronger forms to fight off the Storm King. So, does that mean changelings are the most powerful race in Equestria? We see them change into ponies, dragons, inanimate objects, and even giant monster forms, so why isn't this the case? Think about it. If every changeling can change into a giant monster at will, then why didn't Chrysalis just bulldoze through kingdom after kingdom? They had no qualms about attacking once they broke through Shining Armor's shield in Canterlot Weddings, so I can't really believe that doing so would ruin their ability to collect love when they are openly invading. The only reasonable explanation I can come up with is because there are some forms of limitations that their abilities have. So in this video, I would like to try and define the limits of the changeling's transformation. From what we have seen in the show, the size of the forms changelings can take varies greatly. The smallest that we have seen is that of Spike, or possibly a rock, while the largest has been two examples of giant monsters, one of which is comparable to the tower aside the School of Friendship. Given this, it is safe to assume that any form between this range is fair game for the average changeling, as the largest form was taken by Ocellus, who is still in her youth. Can they take larger or smaller forms than this? I would argue yes, as none of the examples seem to have taken any physical toll on the changelings after the transformations. It seems to be as long as the changeling can imagine it, they can take that form. What we have seen would also suggest that there is no actual time limit to how long a changeling can remain in a form either. This makes sense since they have to maintain a disguise to feed on love, as Chrysalis did with Shining Armor. It is also shown that these forms are not just illusions either. There's actual mass to them, demonstrated on several occasions, and are indistinguishable from the real thing. Spike could not tell Vorax apart from a real rock, even after physically manipulating him in that form. And even in the case of inanimate transformations, they still retain all their senses. So, why aren't changelings the most powerful beings in all Equestria? Well, it's actually fairly simple. We see in the fight Pharynx has with the Malworth, and with Ocellus colliding with the tower in the French school, they immediately lose their larger forms once they take any damage. The reason behind this isn't clearly stated, but taking into the account the battle at Canterlot versus when larger monster forms were taken, smaller forms appear to be more enduring during actual battles, as changelings were able to take a few hits as ponies before returning to normal. Meanwhile, Pharynx was forced back into his regular form after a single blow from the Malworth despite not being seriously injured, and Ocellus transformed back immediately after colliding with the tower when it was an accident, and received no injury that we could see. We can also see that in these cases, being forced out of a form seems to cause disorientation to a changeling. This would explain why giant monster forms are not the go-to form for changelings. While they may be large and intimidating, they are unreliable and easily disrupted if forced to fight. While in large numbers, they can take the form of their enemies to cause confusion and take a few hits before being changed back. This also tells us that Pharynx was using this tactic out of desperation, as he could not simply change into another Malworth to defeat it. He could take the form, but could not mimic its durability, since any damage he took would cause him to transform back at the first blow. This is further backed up by a statement that it would take the combined swarm to have made fighting the Malworth easy. The swarm itself also showed that in that fight, it was more advantageous to remain in their own forms against one large opponent. So in summary, the changeling's ability to transform is not limited by size or shape, but larger shapes have severely limited durability, which seems to scale with size, and become disoriented if forced out of a form, making it a glass cannon. Changelings can potentially deal a lot of damage, but lack defense-limiting combat options, and they rely more on numbers combined with confusion tactics rather than take the risk involved with taking on bigger forms. But what are your opinions on this? Do you think this is a reasonable explanation? Or is there something that I've missed that would provide further insight? Either way, leave a comment below. In my next theory video, I would like to touch on changeling magic beyond their basic transformation abilities. Until then, this is Carapace the Changeling, signing out.